Hello everyone and welcome to week number 4. This week we are focusing on medical law and ethics, HIPAA, and the electronic health record. So with that being said, we are focusing on only 2 chapters this week, chapter 3 and chapter 14. So let's go ahead and dive right in and start talking about these because these are some big, heavy chapters that we need to focus on. So chapter 3 is focusing on medical law and ethics, and with that there are 4 different classifications or categories that can be broken down that medical law and ethics can be broken down into. We have criminal law, civil law, international law, and military law. Now only 2 of these categories really relate to medical, so we're going to focus on those, which are criminal and civil law. So let's talk about each of those a little bit more. Criminal laws are laws that are made to protect individuals and the public as a whole from harmful acts of others. Criminal acts fall into one of 2 categories, and those are either felonies or misdemeanors. Felonies are acts that can carry punishment of either imprisonment in a state or local prison or the death sentence. Some examples of felonies could be murder, rape, robbery, or as we know it in the medical world, practicing without a license. Misdemeanors are less serious offenses. They carry a punishment of either fines or imprisonment for up to 1 year. Some examples could be traffic violations, disturbing the peace, or theft. Now, when we talk about criminal laws, a physician's license is something that can be taken away if they commit a crime. Some examples of crimes that they can commit are sexual misdemeanors or misconducts, murder, or violating narcotic laws. We as medical assistants do not have a license, so that means that because we work under the physician's license, they are held responsible. Please remember that as a medical assistant, we cannot diagnose our patients. If you are trying to diagnose or treat a patient, you can also be fined or prosecuted even though you don't have that license. So please make sure that you understand what your scope of practice is as a medical assistant. Now, on the other hand, we have our civil laws, and civil laws are a law that has a concern between a relationship of individuals or between individuals and the government. Civil law can be broken down into 3 types. We have tort laws, contract laws, or administrative laws. Tort laws are laws that cover acts that result in harm to another. In the medical world and in medical law, that means that you must cause damage or an injury to the patient. It must be caused by the physician or an employee, such as a medical assistant. Charges can be called either intentional or unintentional torts. Intentional torts are things that you do intentionally without the patient's consent, such as assault, battery, false imprisonment, defamation of character, fraud, or invasion of privacy. Unintentional torts could be labeled as either neglect or negligence. But in order to prove that negligence has occurred, the 4 D's of negligence need to be present. Those are duty, dereliction of duty, damages, and direct cause. Contract laws are laws that include enforceable promises or agreements between 2 or more parties that do not do a particular action or service. A contract between these parties must be composed of 4 parts. Those are an offer, an acceptance, a consideration, and a competency. All 4 need to be present in order to make that contract legal. And last, we have administrative laws. These cover regulations that are set forth by governmental agencies. Most healthcare employees are more frequently going to be part of a contract or tort law, so we don't touch too much on administrative law. But the laws that do fall under this agency are violations against HIPAA or Medicare or Medicaid fraud. Now, the other piece to this chapter that I want to talk about is malpractices. A malpractice is an unreasonable lack of skills that result in an injury, a loss, or a damage to the patient. Malpractice claims are classified into three types, either a malfeasance, a misfeasance, or a nonfeasance. Malfeasance is when you perform a wrongful act or an unlawful act. A misfeasance means that you perform a lawful act but not in the proper way. And a nonfeasance means that you are neglecting or ignoring or refusing to perform a necessary lawful act. And the last piece to chapter 3 that I want to talk about is HIPAA. And HIPAA stands for the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. It was a law passed by Congress in 1996. And the purpose was to seek improvement on efficiency and effectiveness of healthcare through insurance reform and administrative simplifications. Simply put, all patients have the right to their personal privacy being respected and their medical records being handled with confidentiality, meaning that no information can be told to another person without the consent of the patient. HIPAA gives more control to the patient over their health care and their health information. And with HIPAA, all employees undergo training during an orientation. The training is organized into three parts: the privacy regulations, standard transaction standards, and security regulations. Typically, training will happen within the first 30 days of your employment. All right, let's finish this week by talking about Chapter 14, which is talking about the electronic health record. Now, as a medical assistant, it is important that you understand what an electronic health record is, why it's important, and how it is used. Electronic health records is a computerized version of a patient's medical history, and this took place of our paper charting. The EHR provides a computerized means of gathering, documenting, and storing information about the patient, their care, and what the patient has received. EHRs also allow access to patient information by multiple physicians in hospitals through the use of networking and communication. It is generally referred to as the acronym EHR, but it wasn't always called that. In fact, when computers first came into the use of the medical facilities, they were referred to as computer-based medical records. As computers gained popularity and newer software was developed, it transformed into what we call the EMR, Electronic Medical Record. The electronic medical record got adopted because it was able to describe the ability to share computerized information among its providers, which was widely adopted by the Institute of Medicine for National Academies, or the IMO, in 2003. So EHRs have been around since the 1960s when Mayo Clinic started using them. But your ambulatory care centers were slow to adapt to this idea. The whole purpose of an EHR is to strive to make healthcare safer and allow for better communication in the team. In 2009, Congress passed a law for the first time that made funding available for EHR. The Electronic Information Technology for Economic and Clinical Health Act, or HITECH, was part of that law. It included the financial incentives for providers who adopted and used EHR to demonstrate the ways it improved quality, safety, and effectiveness of care. With this law came the term meaningful use. It is referred to as a set of criteria for how the EHRs are used that providers must meet incentives in order to receive their payments. The criteria included improved quality and safety and efficiency, engage the patients and their families, improve care coordination, improve public and population health, and ensure the privacy and safety for personal health information. So, what are the benefits to using EHR? Well, one of the key benefits is that it can be created, managed, and consulted by authorized providers and staff across multiple healthcare organizations. Other benefits included improved diagnostic and patient outcomes. So this helps to improve the ability to diagnose diseases and reduce preventable medical errors. Improved documentation. This allows providers to document more quickly, more consistently, and in more detail. Plus, the documentation can take place in an exam room instead of at the end of the day. It improved care coordination. So better coordination can lead to better quality of care and improved patient outcomes. And it helps to avoid medical errors. So EHR alerts healthcare providers when a possible medication error happens, or a potential one could happen, when the patient's due for any routine procedures such as your pap smears, mammograms, physicals, colonoscopies, flu shots, all of those. And it also helps to decrease problems with unreadable handwriting, which we all know doctors have. All right, guys, so for this week, your assignments, we have your Module 4 discussion post, which is on HIPAA and confidentiality. This initial discussion post will be due Tuesday, April 25th by midnight. And you'll have to reply to at least one classmate no later than Saturday, April 29th by midnight. You also have a written assignment this week, and this week your focus will be on the MMRV, measles, mumps, rubella, and varicella VIS summary. Again, make sure that you're reviewing the rubric that I have placed in your Module 4 lesson plan so you can make sure you're answering the appropriate questions. And you do have one quiz again this week. This week it will be focusing on chapters 3 and 14. It has 20 either multiple choice or true-false questions, and you have a 20-minute time limit. Last thing that you do have this week is you do have a student mid-quarter survey. And what that is it's going to give you a chance to give feedback on myself and on the course as you're taking it. I would really appreciate it, and all of us here at Rasmussen would really appreciate it if you would take just a few minutes to do that quiz or that survey. It does not count as a grade. It does not count against you. I do not get to see it. It is completely anonymous, but it does give the college some good feedback. So please take just a few moments and fill out that student survey. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything that you need to bring to my attention, please make sure that you are emailing me through the course messaging in Blackboard, or you can even call me on my direct line on campus on the number that is on your course homepage. All right, guys, have a wonderful week 4, and I look forward to hearing from you guys if you have any questions or concerns. Bye, everybody.